We've missed you.
Pour yourself a drink, pop some popcorn, throw those wings in the oven, grab any snack.
It is time to catch up over pre-show cocktails, or tea, or water, or whatever.
Before the curtain rises at our favorite place, the Stratford Festival.
Let's gab about the shows of the 2021 season, the plays, and the cabarets.
This is Showstarters
with Alexis
and Ijoma. Cheers!
Hi there, my name is Alexis Gordon and welcome to Showstarters. We get to go and meet the creative team behind one of the cabarets for the Stratford Festival 2021 season. But before we do that, I would first love to acknowledge the land that we are all digitally connecting together from, Stratford and Niagara-on-the-Lake. They are on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Adirondack, the Mississauga, and the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation. We are so thankful for their stewardship of these lands and recognize the long history of sharing stories on these lands. And as the brilliant Sam White and the New York City Women's Project Theater has shone a light on for me this year, I would also like to acknowledge our privilege in having the accessibility to the internet, to computers, tablets, any devices in order to connect to each other, as so many do not have that access or that privilege right now. It is something we do not take for granted to be able to share our stories and our art with you this way now. Today, we are diving into the show Why We Tell the Story, a celebration of Black musical theater with brilliant writer, curator, gorgeous and gorgeously talented Marcus Nance. Also performing in the show with Marcus will be Robert Marcus, Vanessa Sears, and Nima Bickerseth. Now, this is Marcus's 10th season at the Stratford Festival. Some of his many, many wonderful credits include Judge Turpin in Sweeney Todd at the Shaw Festival, Queequeg and Moby Dick and Caiaphas in Jesus Christ Superstar at the Stratford Festival. And most recently, Marcus was the featured performer for a digital concert with Inner Chamber. He also starred in his own self-written episode, Voice of a Preacher's Son, for STRATFEST at Home's Up Close and Musical. And he has made guest appearances in a bunch of television shows in the past year. Hello and welcome, Marcus. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Now, Marcus and I met, I believe, in the top of 2015, at the top of my first season at the Stratford Festival before we did Carousel, and he graciously sang Wheels of a Dream with me. So that is the chords that play whenever I see Marcus Nance in the world.
That's right, I remember that at the Jazz Bistro, right?
Yes, you were so generous and so wonderful.
You were generous for asking me. I was honored.
I was starstruck. Oh my goodness.
I've been a fan ever since of yours.
Bless you. Oh my goodness. Now I'm blushing. Okay, let us set the scene. If again, we're so privileged to be on Zoom, but if we were in Stratford together and we were able to have this interview in a restaurant, set the scene for us. Where would you and I be right now? What would we be sipping on right now?
Well, there are a lot of great restaurants and cafes in Stratford. There are tons, so it's always hard for me to pick one. But I think I would have to go with the Red Rabbit. And
Amazing.
we would probably be having a chicken and waffles, which I love. Every single time, that's what I want, and a gin and tonic. Always
Amazing.
gin and tonic, double. Just let's just get it all done.
And you sometimes add that elderflower liqueur to it. You've changed gin and tonics for life for me.
Saint Germain, yes, love it.
Yes, so good. Well, I've actually poured a whiskey sour on this end, but also a big old glass of water because I need to.
Mine's a glass of water, just because I'm afraid if it's anything more, I'm just gonna start saying things I shouldn't.
Well, everyone at home can pour themselves a gin and tonic, and we'll catch up in about half an hour on the gin and tonic front, or join us in Waterland, of course. Now, this is Why We Tell the Story 2.0 of The Adventure Returns. How does it feel to approach this cabaret again after it was created and performed in 2019?
Oh, I am so excited about this. I knew even before we did it, and you were in that version. I knew before we did that it was going to. I knew people were going to like it, and I was really hoping then, and even more so after, that it would live on. So there were so many opportunities to maybe do it before now, but I kept holding on to it, thinking, oh, I just want to wait for that one. And then I got the call from Anthony about would you do this again and maybe change it up a little bit and do it for our season. And I was just blown away and thrilled. So I'm excited, really excited.
Yay, amazing. So if I know people maybe have seen it in 2019, but for those who haven't seen it at all, what is the show about? What do you want us to know before walking in? What the show will give to them?
Well, the show is probably doing a lot of things. And I think one is the obvious thing is I'm showcasing some of my favorite singers, singing some of the most exciting music from the Black musical theater canon. And most of them are shows about Black people. Some of them are shows with maybe an interesting Black character that I wanted to highlight. Um, and I'm adding the poetry of Langston Hughes and of Maya Angelou, and their words are so timeless. Like with everything going on in the world, um, we can have this gorgeous music that tells a story and gives a message, but this poetry really hits home for the things that we're dealing with, and it relates really well with each song that I've chosen to put into the show. So.
Absolutely. I love that it's song. Song is already a heightened text, but the poetry of including another form of heightened text to sew it all together is so exquisite in
Absolutely.
this piece.
Yeah.
hmm So what is, can you give us any hints of what is different, what feels different this time in the show, looking back over it for you?
A lot of it is the same. Probably 95% of it is the same. Um, with all of the conversations that we've had lately about representation and equality, I really wanted to think it through in every aspect to make sure that I was hitting all the right buttons, and even with the new things that I'm aware of and that we're all conscious of, I just wanted to make sure that I was being true to all of that. So there are some more BIPOC artists in the orchestra, and I had some consultation with a BIPOC writer in New York, Dathan Williams, has written the program notes so beautifully for the show.
Amazing.
Yeah, so those are some of the things I wanted. I do have one of the singers is as a not BIPOC, so I wanted to, and he was purposefully chosen. He's doing Huckleberry Finn and Euronymous and Aida, but I wanted him to have a really important spot in the show, place in the show. I wanted him to belong in that show, so I've added a song for him that is really kind of exciting. Change don't come easy, so he can
Mm,
sing about how well basically it's a character whose eyes are open. She was well, it's a female role usually played, but he will sing this, and she discovers her prejudice and learns the wonderful stories of Black people, and she sings about that, and we've added that to the show. So.
it's amazing, and amazing to highlight the allyship and the support that we need from everyone in order to move forward.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it is in both the orchestra and in the cast.
Beautiful. So that sort of perfectly transitions me to, again, the show was done originally before the huge Black Lives Matter sort of resurgence of a movement, before the death of George Floyd in 2020. Has that made you edit or reconsider anything, or make you realize what a mirror you can hold up to society? Did it directly or indirectly affect any songs that you scrapped, or again, you talked about ones you included? How else did it affect your piece?
Well, that's interesting because, first of all, it just let me know that this show I put together before the reckoning, I think I was already there. Like the message is, I think I've lived with this fight that we have, this Black Lives Matter, all my life. My parents have lived through it in the worst of times, so it's always been there. So I think I'm always. It's sometimes easier for me to sing what I want to say rather than to tell what I want to say. So I think even before that, I wanted to tell these stories. I wanted to bring awareness And sometimes it's easier to do that when you sing. You know, there's the beauty of the music, the pain in a black and blue, for example. It transcends the message to a different level. Um, I did have to think hard about songs like Big Black Man and The Life. I think there's nothing wrong with them, but I did want to make sure that I was representing Black people in a positive way. So I had to think, do I want to talk about a Black man's physical body or a female trying to find, make money in a way that some people may look at it negatively?
Or archetypally.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
just decided, no, these stories are real. We are all proud of what we are physically and mentally, and we should celebrate that. And some people do have to find ways to make money that not everybody may see uh, in a positive light.
Right.
But survival is a thing. So I think that these are part of the story, and I kept them in.
Fantastic. Well, and also acknowledging that it is a fraction of people's existence, and that does not summarize what it is or means to be Black. You're giving glimpses into all sorts of shades of Black.
I only have 90 minutes. 'Cause there are so many other things. We are a diverse and interesting and wonderful group of people. And I just really want to show all aspects of who we are. Yeah.
Amazing.
In 90 minutes I can just do a quarter.
You do an amazing job, and you've curated such a, again, a textured, multi-shaded and multifaceted journey to take us on, and it brings us all together in the end, which is, I think, the key thing. Like you said, from 2019 and before to now, the theme is love and unity and communication and coming together,
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
That's why it's the show is in categories, and you'll remember that it's life and pain, and one of them that I forgot, which is in the song, is you. You are why we tell the story.
Yeah.
That's what we say at the end of the theme song, if you want to, for lack of a better term. You are why we tell the story. So go out and tell people what's going on. You, no matter what color you are.
Absolutely. The audience is the key scene partner in that case.
Perfectly.
So, second chances. Usually one gets a chance to do a live theater show or a cabaret piece once, and then the beauty of live theater is that it goes away. It's done, it's one and done, and it was exhilarating, and maybe you want to hold on to it, but it is gone. But again, you get this beautiful second chance. Um, and re-going through and re-curating and evaluating more pieces to add or remove or not remove, did it bring out more of a writer in you? And how is Marcus the writer curator different from Marcus the singer actor performer?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, well, it's interesting because I really want it to be clear. I want to be really clear, and I wonder sometimes, as we have already done it, if the transitions are clear enough. So actually, I'm in the process of of possibly writing a little bit more just so that we have a clearer journey. And maybe it'll be exactly the same and I won't keep any of it, but that might be there.
Right.
Marcus the singer, I'm really good at putting together cabaret program concerts. I mean, it's part of our training in classical school because you have to do recitals. So we're
Right.
very trained at how to put something together that makes sense. So I'm good at that. Writing is new to me. I'm most comfortable singing for sure. So I'm most comfortable being a character. I'm most comfortable singing songs. But I really enjoy doing it all, and I think that I have the skills to do it. But singing music is definitely where I feel most comfortable.
Right. How does the power of being in control of creating your own show that you get to step into, how does that feel versus stepping into something that's already done? Do you feel more nervous sharing your baby, or do you enjoy the ownership or the I don't know, the giving out of parts and getting that control of knowing exactly who your ensemble is as well? Or do you Does part of you prefer to just go and do the show, go and do the already written thing? Are you good at letting go and
Yeah.
all of that?
I think if I've done my work and I've really thought about it and I've done everything that I could to make it good, then I pretty much have trained myself to leave it at that. And if people don't like it, then I can't control that. If they do like it, then that's great. It's interesting because I've done a series of cabarets before, both at Statler's in Toronto and at the Jazz Bistro, where I do a show every week. And I would do one, and it would be so good, and I would be like, I can't top that. The next one is just going to be terrible,
Hmm.
and I would stress over it. But they all ended up usually being great. Being great. People enjoyed them. So, but there is often, ooh, was that good enough? Yeah. Yeah.
Does that inspire you to ever, like, would you write your own musical from there or your own play from there? Are you happy with the art of cabaret expressing exactly what you want to say and what you want to share?
I enjoy the art of interpreting songs written by other people. Yeah, I think. I did just do I just did. I'm a guest for the Stratford Signatures, which is coming up, and it's sort of a promotion of the Stratford Arts and Culture Center that they're organizing at the Knox Church. It will be refurbished, and there'll be this wonderful center there. And I did write a blues song for my portion of the concert, and
Amazing.
it's called "I Can't Breathe," the George Floyd blues. And there's something that's for me a good start because the blues are simple and sad, and it's easy for me to write sad words and and to sing a simple blues melody. But to write a whole musical, I have no desire. I will do whatever someone else writes, and I will interpret. Yeah.
That's me too. That is totally fair. There's something too in the freedom of just saying like, okay, hand it to me and let me take it from here. But you
Yeah.
you do the editing, you do the choosing of favorites, and then
I've had opportunities to sing things that when I first read them, I was like, ooh, this is bizarre. But then I find the beauty in it and I work hard to bring beauty and truth to it. And in the end, I end up loving this new piece. So
right,
I love that challenge.
the challenge and the journey of that. Yeah. Okay. So knowing that this piece will be filmed and thus have a global as opposed to just purely a live and local audience, how do you think accessible art can affect and change the world?
It's another good question. Boy, you're so good. I love it. I love Well, it's so easy for us. We always like to say, oh, theater changes lives, and oh, I'm an artist, and what I'm doing is important to. And then sometimes I stand back and I'm like, is that really true? But what is interesting, and again, I'm not patting myself on the back, but after Up Close and Musical, I got this the most, and again, that was global, as you're saying, because that was filmed. But I had friends who I haven't seen since university who live in Germany, France, London, who watched it, and they sent me these messages. But I think the one message I got that I will share with you that will answer that question. It was from a friend of mine who I went to. Well, actually, I went to high school, and he was sort of a jock, and so we weren't really friends in high school. But since Facebook brings everyone together, and we're all adults, now, so it's very different. But he sent me a message after that he viewed my Up Close and Musical, and he said he works at a hospital and he deals with COVID. He also has a brother who died of AIDS years ago, which was another pandemic that people seem to have forgotten about. And he wrote me a message saying, I came home after a really hard day, sad about my brother, stressed about COVID. I watched your show and I burst into tears. And then, period. And then he said, you made a difference. And I thought, okay, what we do is important. And it made a difference for this man dealing with this ridiculous pandemic and having lost a family member. So I am a believer in that we are making a difference in people's lives.
And that we can bring light. I mean, I've been reading a lot in this past year and a bit that the arts are what is helping to save souls right now. That whether you watch Netflix or you read books or you turn on music to try and find joy or a break or a breath or a silver lining in this pandemic, art has given that to you.
True.
So in this year of darkness and difficulties and death and pain, we've all experienced some sort of loss, but we've also had little bits of joy, and art has a big portion of giving that to people, to society, to communities in order to keep stepping forward.
It does. And I forget about that day to day, but then I might turn on the radio or something. A song comes on during this pandemic, and I could just feel like I just had a drink of water, that my body is alive.
Absolutely. Like you said too, music helps to provide text when we don't have the words for it. It helps elevate us. It can even not be in our first language, and yet the rhythm, the drums, or the pick an instrument will help elevate your emotional being and maybe help you heal in a way that you couldn't express in any other form. Yeah, it's
Even if
powerful.
it's a cello solo, no words, no story. There's just something about the beauty of that sound. Makes you weep.
For sure.
I love what we do.
Here, here. How have you changed in the past year, and how has your art then changed in the past year? You've been able to do some TV spots, some of your own concerts, some appearances in concerts. How have you changed from 2019, 2018 to, I mean, other than primarily being in front of a camera? How have you and your art changed?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be getting too personal here, but I strangely enough, I have just learned more about my value. I think for so long, when you're busy, 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 and you're doing what you think you're supposed to do, and maybe not what you really want to do, then you might lose value. And I think because I've had all these opportunities to do things that I don't normally get to do when I'm busy in a long running production, concerts and teaching and coaching and some TV stuff, which I never thought was in my wheelhouse. Um, and so suddenly I just begin to feel valued and more positive about myself. Yeah. So I think some good has come out of just having to force myself to think outside of the box.
Right. I love that. That's so important too, right? And again, no one, I would never ask for this pandemic in a million years,
No.
but to be forced to pause.
Yeah.
Um, the phrase God's choreography makes me think of just like those moments where the leaf falls from the tree and it means something to you. Again, that sort of forced pause when you go, oh, I have to look at these things now. So what can I learn? Because I should be learning something if I'm going to gather anything from this time. What can I pick up? What can I salvage?
Exactly. Exactly. And hopefully I have learned and others have learned that even when we get busy again, we still need to take time to pause, to listen, to learn, and to keep discovering ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I'm still learning the pause lesson. I'll get back to you on that, but we'll talk about that over rosé sometime soon. What show is next for you then? So, from the inspiration and soul food of creating this beautiful show and then reviving the show, is there any theme or energy or songs that have inspired you to sort of take forward into your next projects, or something that's going to stick with you of, oh, you have to do a show that's purely the poetry of Langston Hughes, or anything like that? Has that sparked any uh, inspiration for you to carry forward into the next thing that you do?
Well, yes. Like I said, I'm discovering things about myself, and I just want to continue to discover. I just want to go further. I love that I'm singing more and I'm doing more concerts. And that's what I started out doing. I trained as a classical singer. That's what I started doing, and I miss that. It makes me
Right.
nervous. It's scary. Get up and sing a whole lot of you. But I want to do more of that. The TV film thing is great. I don't expect to be a big TV star at all. And I know lots of my colleagues have been doing it forever. I mean, I know it's not new for a lot of people. But um, I ran from it because of a homophobic incident years ago, and I
Mm,
thought I didn't want to have anything to do with this.
I'm so
Um,
sorry.
oh, it's okay. It's not okay, but I can handle it. But so I never thought it was for me, and so I was shocked that it to learn that it actually was, and that who I am is okay, and it's not going to mean that I can't take part in that. I coming up, I have some really cool things. Is that part of the question?
Yes, tell me. Sure. Yes.
Summer music. I'm going to be singing on the barge on the boat, which I'm excited. On first weekend of August, I'm going to be part of the Here for Now Theater, doing. Oh, I'm trying to remember this. So, how's it going? Which is a new work by Liza Balkin and Paul Shilton. And I'm really excited about that. They've been interviewing people all over Stratford, and their take about how has your life changed since the pandemic and since the Black Lives Matter. So she's actually put my words, my Marcus Nance's words to music, and I'm kind of like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I've never sung my own words that somebody else took from me. Do you know what I mean? I
Well,
didn't,
hey, this is gonna spark your next musical. It sounds like these are your first
well,
steps.
there you go. But it's just I'll be singing about me. I mean, it's like I won't even need to do research. I won't have to Google anything. It's just it'll
That's so
just.
cool.
I'm excited by that, and hopefully the pandemic will go away so we could just go back to what we were doing in the theaters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, what a treat that we get to touch so many more lives than we normally can in just a purely live season. But there's something about that best of both, that balance.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are. I still want to see Room. I didn't get to
Yes.
see you in Room because that was canceled right. That was right when it all started.
Yes. Yes. It was our opening night. Oh my goodness. I think there'll be time for those things though. I'm again embracing the reshuffling, and hopefully theaters will be these beautiful churches, like I think gathering again is going to be this emotional, stunning experience where it hasn't been safe to gather. And then when it is safe, it's going to be this delicious treat of, other than the grocery store, I haven't seen this many people around me. And then when we all laugh at the same time, like I think it's going to be pure magic, and it's going to be, I get goosebumps thinking about it. And I what it's going to feel like in person. I'm sure we won't have the words for it. It'll just be tears.
Tears anytime you hug anybody because it's wow.
The 5 minute awkward hugs I can't wait for.
I know it will be. I feel weird being so close to you. 6 feet.
It'll be the best. Well, the curtain is about to go up. The show is about to start. But before we head over and see your beautiful concert, um, do you have any sort of silver lining or thing we can cheers, a moment of gratitude in this past year, in this moment for this show? What do you want to cheers to?
I want to give cheers. Is that how you say it? I want to thank Anthony and the festival for taking all the steps that they're taking in all things um, that are causing change, and that need where change is needed. I just it's just so hard. It's so easy to pick on the big theater, but I think that things are happening, and I'm excited by that. So cheers to that, and cheers
Cheers.
to Black music theater and all the great Black artists out there who hopefully will have more opportunity.
You're here. Cheers to steps forward into, yes, beautiful Black art. I love seeing it on my screen so much more. And again, hearing our allies and our friends just rally around with love. It's the best.
We are beautiful. We are beautiful people.
Cheers, cheers! And cheers to making art and spending time with you. Congratulations on your beautiful show, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much, Alexis. I love you.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining us on this musical episode. Now make sure you check out Ajoma's episodes covering the plays of the 2021 Stratford Festival season. Stay well until we meet again at the theater live or digitally again soon. Cheers.